Have you ever felt the sting of a friend turning cold, a colleague shutting you out, or a loved one suddenly attacking you, without knowing why? What if their hatred isn't about you, but a silent war within themselves? Carl Jung's profound psychology reveals the hidden forces behind why people turn against you when you grow. From the shadow, they refuse to face to the collective unconscious fighting to keep you in line. This video uncovers the truth about the battles you never saw coming. Through real-life stories and practical steps, we'll dive deep into Carl Jung's concepts of shadow, projection, persona, individuation, and the transcendent function to show you how to rise above the hate and transform your mental health. You'll learn why their rejection is proof you're on the path to emotional resilience and self-discovery. Stay with us, because by the end of this journey, you'll not only understand why people hate your growth, you'll know how to keep shining despite it. Let's unlock Carl Jung's wisdom together. Have you ever noticed how a friend's cold shoulder or a colleague's sudden resentment seems to come out of nowhere? It's not just random. It's a psychological war you didn't even know you were fighting. Carl Jung's groundbreaking concepts of the shadow and projection hold the key to understanding why your growth triggers hatred in others. When you start transforming, setting boundaries, chasing your dreams, or embracing your true self, you become a mirror that forces people to face the parts of themselves they've buried. In this chapter, we'll dive deep into Carl Jung's psychology to uncover why people suddenly turn against you and how to protect your mental health transformation by recognizing this silent war. So, what is the shadow in Carl Jung's framework? The shadow is the hidden part of your psyche, the collection of fears, insecurities, désirs, and traits you've pushed away because they feel shameful or unacceptable. Everyone has a shadow, but most people avoid confronting it at all costs. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When you start growing, whether it's becoming more confident, saying no to toxic patterns, or pursuing your purpose, you shine a light on the shadows of those around you. Your progress forces them to see what they've refused to face: their own stagnation, self-doubt, or fear of change. Instead of looking inward, they project these unhealed wounds onto you, turning you into the target of their discomfort." Let's bring this to life with a real example. Meet Anna, a 30-year-old marketing assistant who recently got promoted to a leadership role. Anna worked hard to build her confidence, speaking up in meetings and setting boundaries with co-workers who took advantage of her kindness. But soon after her promotion, she noticed a shift. Her colleague, Lisa, who was once friendly, started giving her the cold shoulder, spreading subtle gossip and undermining her ideas. Why? Lisa's shadow harbors a deep fear of inadequacy. She's been avoiding her own lack of ambition for years. Anna's newfound confidence and success mirror Lisa's insecurities, making her feel exposed. Instead of confronting her own stagnation, Lisa projects her self-doubt onto Anna, casting her as arrogant or changed. Anna isn't being hated for who she's become. She's being hated for what Lisa refuses to become. Carl Jung's concept of projection explains this dynamic perfectly. Projection is when someone attributes their own unwanted feelings or traits to another person. It's like pointing a finger to avoid looking in the mirror. When you embrace your growth, you become a living reminder of what others could be if they faced their shadows. Your confidence highlights their insecurity. Your boundaries expose their inability to say no. Your peace reveals their inner chaos. This isn't about you doing something wrong. It's about their unhealed wounds surfacing. Carl Jung observed that people will attack in others what they can't accept in themselves. Understanding this can be a game changer for your emotional resilience, because it means their hatred isn't personal. It's a reflection of their inner struggle. So, how do you protect yourself from this silent war? The first step is awareness. Recognizing projection allows you to see that their negativity isn't about you, it's about them. When someone lashes out, ask yourself, what might they be avoiding in themselves? This simple question shifts your perspective, helping you stay grounded instead of taking their attacks to heart. For Anna, realizing that Lisa's behavior stemmed from her own insecurities helped her stop internalizing the resentment. She didn't engage in the gossip or try to win Lisa back. Instead, she focused on her work, stayed professional, and let Lisa's projections fade into the background. Another powerful tool is shadow work, a practice Carl Jung championed to integrate your own shadow. By exploring your own hidden fears and insecurities, you become less vulnerable to others' projections. If Anna had her own unacknowledged doubts about her worthiness for the promotion, Lisa's attacks might have hit harder. But through shadow work, Anna confronted her fears of not being good enough, which gave her the strength to stay unshaken. This is the secret to emotional resilience. When you know your own shadow, you're less likely to be rattled by someone else's. Here's a practical exercise to start today. Grab a notebook and think of a recent moment when someone's negativity caught you off guard. Maybe a friend's snarky comment, a family member's criticism, or a colleague's coldness. Write down what happened and how it made you feel. Then, ask, what might this person be projecting? What insecurity or fear in their shadow could be driving this? Finally, reflect on your own shadow. Is there a part of me that feels triggered by this? Why? This exercise, rooted in Carl Jung's shadow work, helps you separate their projections from your reality, building a mental shield that protects your peace. Let's look at another example to solidify this. Consider Tom, a 27-year-old graphic designer who started saying no to unpaid overtime. His co-workers, used to him always agreeing, I began calling him selfish and excluding him from team lunches. Tom realized their reactions weren't about him, they were projecting their own inability to set boundaries, a fear rooted in their shadows of being seen as not a team player. By recognizing this, Tom stayed calm, kept his boundaries, and focused on his growth. Over time, his co-workers respected him more, not less, because he stood firm in his truth. Carl Jung's wisdom teaches us that the hatred you face is a sign you're growing. It's not a flaw, it's evidence of your mental health transformation. When you understand the shadow and projection, you stop absorbing others' negativity. You see their attacks for what they are, a reflection of their inner war, not yours. This is the first step to navigating the silent war you never saw coming. Stay with us as we move to the next chapter, where we'll explore how shedding your old persona sparks resistance and how to embrace it with confidence. Have you ever been accused of changing when you started standing up for yourself or chasing your true passions? That accusation isn't just a casual remark, it's a sign you're breaking free from the mask others expected you to wear. In Carl Jung's psychology, this mask is called the persona, the social face you present to the world when you outgrow the role others assigned you, whether it's the people pleaser, the quiet one, or the reliable friend. You disrupt their expectations, and that can spark resentment. In this chapter, we'll explore how shedding your old persona triggers a silent war with those around you, and how embracing your authentic self fuels your mental health transformation. So, what is the persona Carl Jung described? The persona as the social mask you wear to navigate the world, a version of yourself crafted to fit expectations, whether from family, friends, or society. It's not fake. It's a tool to function in relationships and roles. But here's the problem: most people, including those closest to you, get comfortable with the persona you've been presenting. They rely on you playing a predictable role, the one who always says yes, stays quiet, or puts others first. When you start to shed that mask, embracing a persona that reflects your true self, it shakes their world. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Your shift toward authenticity forces others to confront their own inauthenticity. And that's why they push back." Let's see this in action with a real example. Meet Michael, a 29-year-old accountant who was always the nice guy in his friend group. He said yes to every favor, stayed out of conflict, and put his friends' needs above his own. But after years of feeling drained, Michael started working on himself. He began saying no to last-minute requests, prioritizing his hobbies, and speaking up about his goals. His friends, used to the old Michael, didn't take it well. They called him selfish and stopped inviting him to hangouts, accusing him of changing too much. What was happening? Michael's new persona, confident, assertive, and self-focused, disrupted the role his friends had assigned him. His growth exposed their reliance on his old, people-pleasing mask, and they lashed out to keep things familiar. Carl Jung's insight here is profound. When you change your persona, you're not just changing how you act, you're challenging the identities others have built around you. If you were the fixer in your family, your new boundaries threaten their sense of stability. If you were the quiet one at work, your newfound confidence can feel like a betrayal to colleagues who preferred you. Predictable. This isn't about you doing something wrong. It's about them clinging to the comfort of your old mask. Your emotional resilience grows when you recognize this, because you stop seeing their criticism as a sign you're failing. Instead, it's proof you're evolving. How do you navigate this resistance? The first step is to embrace your new persona with intention. Carl Jung saw the persona as a tool, not a prison. You can choose how you present yourself to the world, aligning it with your true values. Start by defining the person you want to be: someone who sets boundaries, speaks their truth, or radiates confidence. Michael did this by visualizing himself as a man who balanced kindness with self-respect. When his friends pushed back, he reminded himself that his new persona wasn't about rejecting them, it was about honoring himself. This mindset shift helped him stay steady, even when their words stung. Another key practice is to reframe their accusations. When someone says you've changed, don't hear it as criticism, hear it as confirmation. You have changed. And that's the point. Carl Jung's concept of individuation, which we'll dive into later, is about becoming your true self, not the version others need you to be. When Michael's friends called him selfish, he reframed it. They're not upset with me, they're upset that I'm no longer playing their game. This perspective gave him the strength to keep growing, knowing their resistance was about their discomfort, not his worth. Let's look at another example to drive this home. Consider Priya, a 35-year-old teacher who was always the reliable one in her family. She took care of everyone's problems, from her parents' disputes to her siblings' crises. But after starting therapy, Priya began setting boundaries, refusing to mediate every family argument. Her siblings accused her of being distant and uncaring. In reality, Priya was crafting a new persona, one that valued her own peace over being the family fixer. Her growth threatened the family's reliance on her old role, sparking tension. By staying true to her new persona, Priya not only protected her mental health, but also inspired her younger sister to start setting boundaries too. Here's a practical exercise to start shedding your old persona today. Take a moment to write down the role you've been playing for others. Maybe the nice one, the caretaker, or the quiet follower. Then, describe the persona you want to embody: someone confident, assertive, or authentic. Visualize yourself in a situation where you typically play the old role, like agreeing to a favor you don't want to do. Picture yourself stepping into your new persona, instead saying no with calm confidence or speaking up with clarity. Practice this visualization daily for a week. Then try it in real life. Notice how others react and how empowered you feel. Shedding your old persona isn't easy. It's a bold act of self-discovery. Carl Jung's wisdom shows us that the resistance you face is a sign you're breaking free from others' expectations. Their accusations of you've changed are proof you're on the path to mental health transformation. By crafting a persona that reflects your true self, if you not only protect your emotional resilience, but also inspire others to question their own masks. Stay with us as we move to the next chapter, where we'll explore how your journey of individuation sparks fear in others and how to keep growing despite it. Have you ever felt like the moment you started living for yourself, chasing your dreams, setting boundaries, or embracing your true identity, people around you began to pull away or turn hostile? That's not a coincidence. It's the power of individuation, Carl Jung's term for the journey of becoming your authentic self. When you step into who you truly are, you challenge the expectations and identities of those around you, and that can terrify them. In this chapter, we'll dive into Carl Jung's concept of individuation to uncover why your personal growth sparks fear in others and how you can keep pushing forward with emotional resilience, turning their resistance into proof of your mental health transformation. So, what is individuation? In Carl Jung's psychology, individuation is the lifelong process of integrating all parts of your psyche, your shadow, your persona, and your deepest desires to become whole. It's about breaking free from the roles, expectations, and projections others place on you, and discovering who you were meant to be. Carl Jung called this the privilege of a lifetime, but he also warned that it comes with a cost. When you start living authentically, whether by pursuing a passion, saying no to toxic dynamics, or standing firm in your values, you disrupt the status quo. Your growth forces others to confront their own lack of authenticity, and that can feel like a threat to their sense of self. Let's see this in action with a real example. Meet Sarah, a 36-year-old single mother who spent years trapped in her family's toxic dynamics. She was expected to be the peacemaker, always smoothing over conflicts and sacrificing her own needs. But after discovering Carl Jung's teachings, Sarah decided to change. She started therapy, set firm boundaries, and pursued her dream of starting a small business. Her family didn't celebrate her growth. They pushed back hard. Her siblings called her selfish, and her parents accused her of abandoning the family. Why? Sarah's individuation, her journey to become her true self, threatened the family's reliance on her old role. By refusing to play the peacemaker, she forced them to face their own unresolved issues. Like their inability to handle conflict without her, their resistance wasn't about Sarah's choices, it was about their fear of change. Carl Jung's insight here is profound. Individuation is a radical act of self-discovery, but it's also a mirror that exposes others' stagnation. When you break free from the expectations of family, friends, or society, you're not just changing yourself, you're challenging the unspoken rules that keep others comfortable. If you were the good daughter or the reliable friend, your shift to authenticity can feel like a betrayal to those who benefited from your old role. They don't hate the real you. They fear the reality. Your growth reveals that they're still clinging to inauthentic versions of themselves. This is where emotional resilience becomes crucial. Recognizing that their hostility is about their fear, not your worth, empowers you to keep growing. How do you stay on this path, despite the pushback? The first step is to anchor yourself in your personal vision. Carl Jung believed individuation requires a clear sense of purpose, a guiding star that reflects your true self. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? What values do I want to live by? For Sarah, her vision was to be a strong, independent woman who modeled courage for her daughter. When her family criticized her, she reminded herself of this purpose, which gave her the strength to keep going. Your vision acts like a compass, keeping you steady when others try to pull you back into their comfort zone. Another key practice is to embrace the discomfort of growth. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." The resistance you face is part of the individuation process. It's a sign you're breaking free from external expectations. Instead of shrinking when others criticize you, see their pushback as confirmation that you're on the right path. Sarah learned to view her family's accusations as evidence that she was finally prioritizing herself. This mindset shift turned their hostility into fuel for her mental health transformation, helping her stay focused on her goals. Let's look at another example to bring this home. Consider James, a 28-year-old software engineer who always followed his parents' expectations to stay in a safe career. But after years of feeling unfulfilled, he pursued his passion for music, starting a side hustle as a DJ. His parents were furious, calling him irresponsible and warning he'd ruin his life. James's individuation, his choice to align with his true calling, threatened his parents' belief in stability over passion. By staying committed to his music, James not only found joy, but also inspired a friend to chase her own dreams. His growth scared his parents, but it also proved his strength. Here's a practical exercise to start your individuation journey today. Take 10 minutes to write down your personal vision. Who do you want to become? Maybe it's someone who lives boldly, sets boundaries, or follows their passion unapologetically. Then, identify one action you can take this week to align with that vision, perhaps saying no to a draining obligation or taking a small step toward a dream. Reflect on how it feels to honor your true self, even if others resist. This exercise, rooted in Carl Jung's teachings, helps you build the emotional resilience to keep growing, no matter who pushes back. Individuation is a powerful journey, but it's not without challenges. Carl Jung's wisdom shows us that the fear and hostility you face are signs you're breaking free from others' expectations. Their resistance isn't a signal to stop. It's proof you're on the path to becoming your authentic self. By anchoring in your personal vision and embracing the discomfort of growth, you turn their fear into your strength. Stay with us as we move to the next chapter, where we'll explore how your transformation threatens the collective unconscious and how to stand firm against the system. Have you ever felt like the moment you break free from family traditions, workplace norms, or societal expectations, it's as if the whole world turns against you? That's not just personal, it's a clash with what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious, the shared patterns of behavior and beliefs that hold societies and groups together. When you challenge these invisible rules by rejecting toxic dynamics, pursuing your own path, or refusing to conform, you become a threat to the system, sparking a silent war you never saw coming. In this chapter, we'll dive into Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious to understand why your transformation unsettles entire groups and how you can stand firm with emotional resilience, fueling your mental health transformation. So, what is the collective unconscious? In Carl Jung's psychology, it's the deep, shared reservoir of instincts, archetypes, and cultural patterns that shape how groups think and act. These are the unwritten rules like family traditions, workplace hierarchies, or societal expectations that keep systems stable. They're powerful because they operate below the surface, guiding behavior without anyone questioning them. But when you start breaking free, whether by escaping generational trauma, defying a toxic work culture, or living authentically, you disrupt this collective unconscious. Carl Jung observed that systems resist change to maintain the status quo, and they'll mobilize to bring the deviant back in line. That's why it can feel like everyone's family, co-workers, or even strangers turns against you all at once. Let's bring this to life with a real example. Meet David, a 32-year-old entrepreneur who grew up in a family where stability was everything. His parents expected him to follow their path, get a steady job, avoid risks, and uphold family traditions. But David wanted more. He left his corporate job to start his own business, a move that aligned with his true passion. His family didn't cheer him on. They criticized him, calling him reckless and selfish. Even his old co-workers distanced themselves, labeling him unrealistic. Why David's choice to break free from the family's script of play it safe challenged the collective unconscious of his family and social circle. His pursuit of authenticity threatened the system's need for conformity, making him a target of their resistance. They weren't rejecting David. They were defending the unspoken rules he dared to defy. Carl Jung's insight here is eye-opening. When you break free from collective patterns, you're not just changing yourself, you're shaking the foundation of the system around you. If your family relies on you staying in a certain role, like the responsible one who never rocks the boat, your transformation feels like a betrayal. If your workplace thrives on everyone following the same script, your bold choices expose the limitations others accept. This isn't about you being wrong. It's about the system fighting to preserve itself. Carl Jung noted that the collective unconscious can act like an invisible force, rallying people to pull you back into line through criticism, exclusion, or guilt. Understanding this is key to your emotional resilience, because it shows their reaction is about the system's fear of change, not your worth. How do you stand firm in this battle? The first step is to recognize the system's influence. Ask yourself, what unspoken rules am I challenging? Maybe it's a family tradition of silence around conflict, a workplace culture of overwork, or a societal expectation to fit in. By identifying these patterns, you see the resistance for what it is, a defense mechanism of the collective unconscious, not a judgment of your choices. For David, realizing his family's criticism stemmed from their attachment to stability helped him stop taking it personally. He focused on his vision, knowing their pushback was about their fear, not his failure. Another powerful practice is to redefine your role. Carl Jung believed that breaking free from the collective unconscious requires consciously choosing who you want to be, not who the system needs you to be. Instead of being the good son or the team player, decide what role aligns with your authentic self, perhaps a trailblazer, a creator, or a boundary setter. David redefined himself as an innovator, not a rebel, which gave him the strength to keep building his business. Despite the criticism, this shift in identity bolsters your mental health transformation, helping you stay grounded when the system pushes back. Let's look at another example to solidify this. Consider Maria, a 40-year-old nurse who decided to stop enabling her family's dysfunctional dynamics. Her relatives often relied on her to mediate arguments or bail them out financially. When Maria set boundaries, refusing to be the family's fixer, they accused her of being cold and ungrateful. In reality, Maria was challenging the collective unconscious of her family, which depended on her playing the caretaker role to avoid addressing deeper issues. By standing firm, Maria not only protected her peace, but also inspired her cousin to question similar patterns in their family. Here's a practical exercise to start breaking free from the collective unconscious today. Grab a notebook and write down one system in your life, family, workplace, or community where you feel pressure to conform. List the unspoken rules you're expected to follow. Like always, put family first or don't outshine others at work. Then, write down one action you can take to challenge these rules, such as saying no to an unfair expectation or pursuing a goal that defies the norm. Reflect on how this action aligns with your true self. This exercise, rooted in Carl Jung's teachings, helps you build the emotional resilience to stand firm against the system's resistance. The collective unconscious is a powerful force, but Carl Jung's wisdom shows us that breaking free from its grip is a crucial step in your mental health transformation. The criticism and rejection you face are signs you're disrupting outdated patterns, not proof you're wrong. By recognizing the system's influence and redefining your role, you turn their resistance into a badge of courage. Stay with us as we move to the next chapter, where we'll explore how the transcendent function makes you a threat to others and how to harness it to become unstoppable. Have you ever noticed that when you balance strength with compassion or set boundaries while staying empathetic, people around you seem unsettled, even threatened? That's because you're tapping into what Carl Jung called the transcendent function, a psychological process that allows you to integrate opposing forces in your psyche to achieve wholeness. This level of inner balance makes you unpredictable and powerful, but it also scares those who are trapped in rigid, either-or thinking. In this final chapter, we'll explore how the transcendent function fuels your mental health transformation, why it triggers resistance from others, and how you can harness it to become unstoppable in your journey of self-discovery. So, what is the transcendent function? In Carl Jung's psychology, it's the process of holding two opposing aspects of your psyche, like love and boundaries, or vulnerability and strength in tension, until a new level of consciousness emerges. It's about transcending the binary thinking that limits most people, allowing you to embody both sides of a conflict without being defined by either. When you integrate these opposites, you become whole, operating from a place of clarity and authenticity that others can't easily categorize. Carl Jung believed this process is the heart of psychological growth, but it's also what makes you a threat to those who cling to rigid roles or unhealed patterns. Your wholeness highlights their fragmentation, and that's why they push back. Let's see this in action with a real example. Meet Emma, a 33-year-old artist who spent years struggling to balance her desire to please others with her need to protect her creative energy. She used to either overcommit to social obligations, leaving her drained, or isolate herself completely, feeling guilty. After learning about Carl Jung's ideas, Emma began practicing the transcendent function. She learned to say no with kindness, setting boundaries while still showing care for her friends. When a friend asked her to drop everything for a last-minute favor, Emma responded with warmth but firmness. "I'd love to help, but I need to focus on my work right now." Her friends were thrown off. They accused her of being distant or too focused on herself. Why? Emma's ability to balance compassion and self-prioritization challenged their black and white expectations. Her wholeness made their own struggles with balance painfully obvious. Carl Jung's insight here is profound. The transcendent function allows you to navigate life's complexities with a flexibility that others find unsettling. Most people operate from unconscious patterns, choosing one side of a conflict, like being nice at all costs or shutting others out entirely. When you transcend these extremes, blending empathy with assertiveness or openness with selectivity, you become unpredictable. You're no longer playing by the rules of their rigid thinking, and that can feel like a threat. Your emotional resilience grows when you realize their resistance isn't about you doing something wrong. It's about their inability to handle your growth. Their pushback is proof you're tapping into a higher level of consciousness. How do you harness this power? The first step is to embrace opposing forces. Identify a situation where you feel torn between two extremes, like wanting to please someone versus protecting your own needs. Instead of choosing one side, practice holding both. For Emma, this meant saying no to her friend's request while still expressing care. This balance didn't just protect her energy, it showed her friends a new way of being. Carl Jung believed that holding these tensions creates a third way, a new perspective that elevates your mental health transformation. By practicing this, you become less reactive to others' judgments, staying grounded in your wholeness. Another key practice is to trust your inner wisdom. The transcendent function works by tapping into your psyche's ability to find harmony between opposites. When faced with resistance, pause and ask, what's the middle ground here? For example, if someone criticizes your boundaries as cold, consider how you can stay firm while showing warmth. This approach not only diffuses conflict, but also reinforces your authenticity. Emma learned to respond to her friend's accusations with calm understanding, saying, I value our friendship, but I also need time for myself. This balance disarmed their criticism and strengthened her emotional resilience. Let's look at another example to drive this home. Consider Liam, a 40-year-old manager who used to swing between being overly strict or overly lenient with his team. After studying Carl Jung, he began integrating these opposites, being both supportive and authoritative. When he started giving constructive feedback with empathy, his team was initially resistant, calling him inconsistent. In reality, Liam's balanced approach exposed their discomfort with change. By staying true to his new way of leading, Liam not only improved his team's performance, but also earned their respect over time. His wholeness, powered by the transcendent function, made him a leader who couldn't be easily shaken. Here's a practical exercise to start using the transcendent function today. Think of a situation where you feel caught between two extremes, maybe pleasing others versus standing up for yourself, or being open versus setting boundaries. Write down both sides and how they make you feel. Then, imagine a third way that blends the two, like saying no with kindness or being honest while staying compassionate. Practice this approach in a real-life scenario this week and reflect on how it feels to embody both sides. Notice how others react. Some may resist, but others may be inspired. This exercise, rooted in Carl Jung's teachings, helps you build the emotional resilience to navigate resistance with confidence. The transcendent function is your key to becoming unstoppable. Carl Jung's wisdom shows us that integrating opposites makes you whole, but it also makes you a mirror for others' fragmentation. Their resistance isn't a sign you're wrong, it's proof you're transcending the limitations that hold them back. By embracing opposing forces and trusting your inner wisdom, you turn their fear into your power, fueling your mental health transformation. Stay with us for the outro, where we'll tie it all together and give you a final push to keep growing. No matter who stands in your way, you've just walked through a powerful journey with Carl Jung's timeless wisdom, uncovering why your growth sparks a silent war you never saw coming. From the shadow and projection that turn others against you, to shedding your old persona, embracing individuation, challenging the collective unconscious, and unlocking the transcendent function, you now hold the tools to understand and rise above the hatred. Carl Jung's psychology reveals a profound truth. The resistance you face isn't about you, it's about their fear of facing themselves. Your mental health transformation, your emotional resilience, and your journey to authenticity are shaking the foundations of their world. And that's exactly why they can't handle you. This is your call to keep going. Every time you set a boundary, say no to toxic patterns, or embrace your true self, you're not just surviving the silent war, you're winning it. The criticism, the rejection, the accusations of you've changed are proof you're on the path to becoming unstoppable. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That privilege is yours, and no one's fear can take it away." So, take one step today, whether it's journaling your shadow, redefining your persona, or practicing the transcendent function, and keep shining. No matter who tries to dim your light, if this journey opened your eyes, Hit that like button to let us know it fuels our passion to create more content like this. Share this video with someone who needs to understand why their growth triggers others. And subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub with the bell icon to never miss a step in your self-discovery. Drop a comment below. What's one action you'll take today to rise above the silent war? We can't wait to hear your story. Let's keep exploring the depths of the psyche together, because when you embrace your authentic self, the world's resistance only makes you stronger. See you in the next video.